There's nothing more dangerously off-putting when a story ties the antagonist to the MC's love interest. You know what that means? We got a mild taste of that with Edward Sensei in episode 2, but here is when the antagonist does one of the most despicable bad guy actions that no man ever wants to be a part of. Unless you're the jerk that's doing it. But it's a situation horribly out of your control for the MC. For our sanity, this is universally the worst of the worst nightmares for a hero and a man with dignity and pride. And for your lady that's sleepily waiting for your arrival, that may have her purity snatched right under your nose, it's when they try to NTR you. Well guys, I guess this is a spoiler alert for Wistoria, Wand and Sword, Season 1, Episode 7. 12 Secret Ice Magics, El Gras Frost. This is hands down the best episode of the season so far. So if you guys haven't got into this anime just yet, this would be one of the winning kind of episodes. This episode is about Mano y Mano, the jackass of ice versus the master of the lone sword. One magicless bum versus one Iceman wanting to defile Elfie, both getting ready to square up on the playground. The hook of the episode does a swell job setting us up for a story for our MC, essentially being cocked. If you don't know what that means, well, it means the story sets up the antagonist to have his way. Not necessarily physically, but how the story pits the MC's woman in a compromised position that will allow the antagonist to win your girl over you, while you can't do anything about it. So Elfie and Sarisa recognizes that Julius may actually one day be Elfie's successor, and they speak very frankly about Julius, when we all know that he is a bullying, patronizing, prejudiced asshole. After the opening credits, it starts off with Julius complimenting Megane Will, while Will reminds him of his purpose to make Julius apologize to his dwarfen brethren. Smokescreen! Throughout the episode, we get a lot of cool fight scenes, and it starts off with a smokescreen. While Will is trying to navigate through the smokescreen, we find out there are multiple Juliuses. While Will had it all planned out how he will attack Julius, but Julius reveals himself as an asshole that multiplies to your heart's undesire. And this reminds Will of, oh yes, his woman, Elfie. Julius shows Will just how much closer he is to Elfie as he explodes Elfie's magic all over Will in a way Will could not have ever expected. Elfie created 12 ice spells called El Glace Frosty. These ice spells being used against Megane Will is to remind the audience that Will is being iced NTR'd. All the while, Xion is trying to slide into Colette's DMs. Everyone is trying to take our MC's girls, but that won't stop him from exacting his revenge to make Julius pay for his dwarfen brother from another laddie, and to honor his childhood bestie that can't be replaced. Sorry, Colette. Will questions how Julius can use Elfie's spells, and of course, it's because what Julius has on the inside that is closer than what Will ever have in his insides, and that's magical talent. Julius taunts Will even further that Albus Vina ain't ish, and that he will expose her. The mental display of NTR has gone too far, and Will has had enough and breaks the ice and dashes towards Julius, while all the clones and dumbass lackeys keep pew-pewing on. The first half of the episode basically sets up Will to be in the worst position possible, with Julius basically NTRing Will within the story, by teasing that Julius may join Albus Vina one day, while also showing how incredibly talented Julius is, the fact that he's already using Elfie's powers, and she herself is a natural genius. She's a damn Magiavander. It's the perfect setup to make Will feel and make the audience feel a sense of despair and helplessness, which is like the worst kind of feeling that a villain can do to you. I mean, look at Griffith in Berserk. That jackass definitely scarred me in middle school. Except, thank goodness, that isn't the whole story. But I love the build-up for Julius's antagonistic arc right here. We're at peak despair and peak hate for Julius, of all the assholes of assholes, from Xion to Edward Sensei to now Julius. There's nothing more frustrating than seeing him being so close to someone that Will cherishes. It's like when your girlfriend is in a group project with another guy that totally likes her but doesn't respect you at all. Julius continues to hurl magic and ensnares Will with his ice traps, and then launches a Frieza death ball of ice to crush Will. But no. Will is no stranger to being smashed by Elfie. Her ice magic and Julius' strength and technique pales in comparison to a real goddess of real talents. And this is where it seems like Julius has it all, he's actually nowhere near the level of his woman that tried to publicly and expose our ice princess. While Julius, the festival's audience, and Edward Sensei tries to prematurely declare Julius the winner, all it did was cool and angry Megane Will down to a less angrier, Rizzler Will. With a cool, calm, and collected Will staring down a flustered Julius, it looks like Rizzler will be the one exposing Julius. Julius's arse-wise technique ain't nothing compared to the real deal, and just like at Gina's tavern, the two lackeys go to sleep. And going back to when the opening scene teased that Julius may one day be Elfie's successor, the scene fully finishes here that isn't what Elfie wants. I mean, they're literally the same age here. What Elfie wants is a sword. More specifically, a man with a lone sword that appreciates a good set of goggles, that when she dished him, took it on the chin like a champ. While Julius's lackeys help them use Arse-Weiss, that doesn't mean that Julius by himself can't make copies of himself while not having the technique fully perfected. But what Julius doesn't know is that every shonen protagonist can smell an asshole from a mile away, and that his technique is so unperfected that it leaves ice clues behind by their feet. Julius almost gets a Moria sword whacked to the noggin and screams out loud how this Munosha can know so much about his ability, more than he does. And it's finally revealed that Will and Elfie are orphans from the same orphanage that grew up together as Seraphorts. Arse-Weiss is literally child's play, as Elfie created it when she was only 2 years old. Alright, I have to say something that's probably unpopular here. When you are someone that gifted that you're doing stuff at 2 years old that no normal person in their adult age is doing, this little girl can't live a normal life to be with her little boyfriend. The world is gonna put someone that talented and put her talents to work, because now she just has a greater purpose. That is just the curse of actually being that talented. Elfie cheers Will on from atop the symbol, and Julius does belligerent antagonistic shouting as he is not getting his way. It's a Masaka moment for the antagonist. Julius gets bold and creates more than 4 copies of himself, but Will tells Julius that that's still nothing than being unwillingly harassed and felt on by 10 Elfies. And then an incredible display of animation ensues as Will dodges every fake Julius, crushing them to bits, dodging every lame ice spell being thrown at him, only for Will to ditch his lone sword for his lone fist. And you know what happens when the MC climaxes? The ladies cheer for you in excitement. Just as Julius thought he would be k***ing Will would be k***ed by Wignall. It changes to Elfie freaking out that Will told the entire world that Elfie unwillingly harassed Will by touching him all over his body with 10 different versions of her. That's some new kind of freak. Even though our boy MC Rizzler Will lost the festival event, he regained his pride and showed the world what a lone sword can really do. Colette comes screaming for Will, and Shion acts and says rival-like things that even Will, beating someone as strong as Julius, just motivates him to want to take his bullying talents to new heights, to defeat the lowly Munosha. While Colette smiles and cries at Will's triumphant win of pride and promise, looking at him in his face like she wants to pluck one of his hairs. While Colette wants to glaze Will looks away from the side woman to look at his real woman atop the symbol, knowing full well he kept this promise to the dwarves, and he embarrassed Elfie. I guess calling Colette Sympathy Booty in the first episode just turned into a double entendre. When I read this, I knew this was going to be an amazing episode. But when there are a lot of fight scenes, it's hard to ever tell if the animation will live up up to the depictions of those fight scenes. And holy crap, it certainly did. I think we all wanted to see Julius get humbled and get that satisfaction at the end. But from beginning to the end, creating a spectrum from one end of Julius being an asshole that will expose Elfie and eventually succeed her, showing how strong and antagonistic he is, into meeting somewhere in the middle, showing the truth of how special Elfie and Will's relationship really is. Sorry, Colette. So the anime has been doing a fantastic job of actually slowing down the pacing in comparison to the manga and building every episode like it means a lot more for the characters, and to cap it off with the epic finale of this kind of Julius arc. And I think it satisfied everything we really wanted to see. Julius get his ass kicked, get humbled, we figure out more and more about Will and Elfie's relationship, and we get to see a more goofier side to Elfie that I don't think we've really seen yet, that we'll probably start to see more and more of her personality in different ways. But overall, the biggest takeaways from this episode is, we hate our MC being NTR'd. Will and Elfie are an unstoppable ship. Sorry, Colette. And while Julius got humbled, we can expect a Shion-like transformation for his character. This is where Wistoria starts to get a lot more interesting story-wise. Every episode has been about introducing new characters, and characters that are kind of character developing, like a Shion, from being an asshole to a redeeming asshole. We still have Wigno and Lihana on the horizon, but considering how epic the Julius versus Will fight was, it's hard to top that in this kind of 1v1 tournament-like scenario that it's basically been so far. So we can expect a different way that these other characters will be introduced in a different kind of scenario. But it would be totally funny if, like, every episode, every new character that gets introduced, Will just beats their ass and all of a sudden they're like homies now. That would be kind of funny though. So this episode is clearly the best one of the season. As characters, it feels like Shion was just the appetizer for that asshole antagonist arc for Julius to be the even bigger asshole that now has that connection to Elfie because he uses ice magic as well. And they're already teasing, hey, he is a candidate for Albus Vina. So story-wise and character dynamic-wise, that just makes Julius a way more interesting antagonist because of that link to Elfie. So I love that this episode built that up from that despair and unhelplessness to one where Will got to redeem himself, and we all got to feel that satisfaction at the end with the punch to the face. And we got to see Elfie freaking out and smiling by the end. And I hope to see more and more of that. Sorry, Colette. For a story like Wistoria, I don't think any episode can get that much better than an episode like this. So where Wistoria shines brightest is with good animation, good execution of the story, and enough likable characters like Will, Colette, Elfie, and of course, Kiki. And you guys know I've caught up with the Wistoria manga. It gets more and more interesting plot-wise, so I hope you guys stick around with this anime with me. So yeah guys, let me know what you guys thought about this episode and everything up until this point. And do me a favor guys, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Check out my blog at otakusin.com, and I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.